And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we will be talking about Joe Biden and his administration trying to redefine what the definition of a recession is. Now, for decades, it has been a standard across the board on both sides of the aisle, both Republican and Democrat, that the definition for recession is two negative quarters of growth. But now, all of a sudden, in this new world that we live in, everything is up for debate now. Everything is up for question. And this ties into many of the things that I've been discussing on this channel for a very, very long time. Where, number one, we do not have media in this country. Instead, what we have is propaganda. We have individuals who are colluding together to push their agendas and their narratives on you, whether or not they are true or whether or not they benefit you. First, it was inflation was transitory, that, we were going to experience a little bit of inflation, but nothing crazy. Then it was, okay, well, the inflation's here, but that's because we reopened the economy back up, right? And here we are now, time and time again, the experts continue to get it wrong. Now, what's laughable about this is that when we actually play their words back that they're saying, even the White House press secretary, where she's Carrie Ann, where she's talking about the labor market is so strong. Understand that even if you believe the labor market is strong and that there are so many available jobs, the inflation rate is over 9%. So when you factor in the fact that most working Americans are not getting raises in their actual paycheck to combat the inflation or be equivalent with the inflation that we're experiencing, then the strong labor market makes no sense. That argument or talking point is foolishness. And it's just a flat out lie and disingenuous. Because again, as I said before, when you go to the grocery store and your groceries cost you $100 more than they did last year, and you didn't get a raise to combat that or to equate to that, then that strong job market that you have is pointless because you're suffering in this economy. And what happens is that, remember, when you look at GDP, our gross domestic product, over 70% of it is based upon you consuming. Now, remember, your consumption is someone else's job. If you have less and less individuals working or less and less individuals spending money, then what happens? If I stop spending, you stop making revenue in your business. If you stop getting revenue in your business, then you want to cut back people, and it becomes a domino effect. And I've been talking about this for so long. And then now building on the conspiracy theories, because that's what many of you try to say, that I am a conspiracy theorist. Wikipedia decides that they no longer want to follow their policy. So they do not want people to be able to go and change the actual definition of a recession. So now you have big tech, colluding with the quote unquote White House as to what is the definition of a recession. And then now you have the media colluding with big tech and colluding with the government in regards to what is and what isn't an actual recession based upon the actual technical definition. So there's a lot of things that I want to discuss, and I'm really going to play a lot of videos because, see, one thing I want to, drive home for you is that we're going through the Great Reset. We're going through the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and it's going to be very, very important that you can see with clear eyes what's going on and what's to come so that you can prepare. Because if you allow these politicians to ping pong you back and forth and play the whole left-right divide game with you, you're never truly going to be able to truly get on code in regards to what's beneficial to you. So I really want to dive into this. And also, right on cue, as I said to you before, the Fed raising interest rates over the short term does not determine the long-term trajectory and trend of the Fed funds rate. It's going to continue to go lower. Why? Case in point, in redefining recession, Dems turn to fuzzy math and governing by gaslighting. What they're trying to do is spend $700 billion now more, although they're deeply in debt, although we're experiencing massive amounts of inflation, although the Fed is raising interest rates. As I've been telling you guys before, there's two things that's going to happen here. Either we're going to experience a currency crisis with hyperinflation, or we're going to experience a sovereign debt crisis. Why? Because the government is going to continue to keep spending money that they do not have. And they do not have the tax revenue coming in to be able to fund themselves. So they're going to have to deficit spend, and the Fed is going to have to monetize this through buying government treasuries, because no one else is going to buy government debt. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the video. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe. Make sure that you hit the notification bell and you set it to all, because YouTube does not like to send out notifications. So make sure you have that notification bell on. Also, in the description below, my number is available where you can actually text the word YouTube to that number and get on my text message list, so that when I go live, I can actually send you a text message notifying you, hey, I'll be live at this particular time. Also, my Instagram is in the description below. So if you want to follow me on other social media platforms, click that link below. That will take you to my Instagram page. Also, I am the founder and creator of My Tech Academy, where we cover all things crypto: how to buy, how to sell, how to store. We cover how to build and structure a proper portfolio. We currently have a coding bootcamp going on. We've built 3 projects so far, so that's going pretty good. We're currently focusing on HTML and CSS. Next week, we'll be getting into the JavaScript portion of it. We have a free 3-day trial, so definitely click that link, come test it out, and see if you like it. We also cover DeFi, yield farming, staking. If it's Web3 and crypto, we cover it. And we also have a very, very vibrant community of other people who are collaborating together at the end of the day to share information, share knowledge, and grow as a community, which is really, really important. Also, I've opened up consultations again, so you can come over to the website and come and book you a consultation. Me and my business partner, Bruce, will be conducting the actual consultations. I will be covering the Web3 side, NFTs, crypto, DeFi. He will be covering the technical analysis and fundamental analysis side of it. Also, we have a new product that's going to be released inside of My Tech Academy called Fundamental Analysis, actually teaching you how to evaluate an asset properly and how to do your proper due diligence. And that will be taught by my business partner, Bruce. Also, I have 2 investment opportunities. I have the DeFi investment opportunity, and I also have a node investment opportunity. So if you're interested in investing with me, you need to follow me on Instagram. You need to DM me the word invest, and then I'm going to send you 2 videos breaking down the investment opportunities. Please be careful. There's a lot of people out here that's impersonating me, that are, they're cloning my Instagram page. I will never reach out to you first. You will always reach out to me and then send me the word invest, and then I will send you a video breaking it down. I do not take money through Cash App. I would never ask you to Zelle me. I would never ask you to PayPal me any money. Please use proper discernment. With me, before you send money, you and I are going to get on a Zoom conference call and go over the investment terms. And yes, there is a contract in place. With that being said, please type 1 in the chat if you can see and hear me clearly, and we can get started. Great. So right here, if we come here, I'm going to come down to here, right? So this was Joe Biden. This right here. Let's listen to this.
Exactly the White House's definition of a recession. Again, we don't. And what is exactly the White House's definition of a recession? Again, we don't. I'm not going to define it from here. I'm just going to leave it to the NBER, as we have stated, of how they define recession. Okay, recession. You won't declare it one until they have declared it one. I'm.
President, we're getting GDP numbers on Thursday. How worried should Americans be that we could be in a recession?
We're not going to be in a recession, in my view.
And Mr. President, we're getting GDP numbers on Thursday.
Trying to redefine recession.
No, we're not redefining recession.
If we all understand a recession to be 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth in a row, and then you have White House officials come up here to say, no, that's not what a recession is. It's something else. How is that not redefining recession?
Because that's not the definition. That is not the definition.
Brian Deese said in 2008, of course, economists have a technical definition which is of a recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
I can tell you this.
Yesterday he said 2 negative quarters.
Now, number one, you can always tell when someone's lying and they're caught lying when their disposition and their tone and everything changes about them, where they start to get kind of aggressive and combative rather than being able to cite data and information. Right, they want to try to attack and lash out. Now, here's the funny thing. I'm about to play a clip from the 2000s with George Bush and Bill Clinton sitting down and talking about the definition of a recession. And see, this is the mental gymnastics and the tricknology that a politician loves to play on the populace, because they understand that most people don't even know what GDP is, how it's actually calculated, or what the true definition of a recession is, because most people don't tend to go any deeper than their political affiliation, right? Like if I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat, everything the Democrats tell me, I'm gonna go with it. And if I'm a conservative, everything that conservatives tell me, I'm going to go with. And this is what happens when you start to put labels on things. And I talk about this all the time, where when you start labeling people and putting yourself in groups, it creates this tribalism where you just can't be honest about basic things. Like literally, we are now having debates and whole arguments as to what is a woman, what defines a man. Now we're defining what is a recession. And in this new world that we're going into, literally, the whole goal is to spread confusion, to change things, right? So when people say they want to, be revolutionaries and change things, in most cases, they're not trying to change things in a positive way. They're really trying to change things to suit their own viewpoints. Now, let's go up here and watch this video here. I think it's important.
Well, a recession is 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. So.
Mr. President, what do you think about a recession?
Well, a recession is 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. I don't think we're going to have that. But we couldn't keep up 5% growth a year, forever. So I think 49 of the 50 blue chip forecasters think that growth will be 2.5% or better next year. We'll keep unemployment low. But I think there'll be things to be managed. He'll have economic challenges, and you ought to give him a chance to meet them.
Now, again, for decades, the definition of a recession has been 2 negative quarters of growth. Liberals agree with it in 2000. So what's changed now since 2000 up until now? What's different? The only difference is that midterm elections are coming up. And this right here lets you know everything that I've been saying to you about the fact that we do not have real journalism here in America. We have propaganda. If you watch Fox News, every single thing that the quote unquote Biden administration does is horrible, even if it may be good. And then if you watch MSNBC or CNN, everything that the Biden administration does is great. Yeah, you may get a few here or there that may try to, be objective, but for the most part, it's pro-Democrat on liberal stations, pro-Republican on other stations. And then it's the inverse. If you have a Republican administration, everything that Trump does on Fox News, they love it. And then everything that he does on CNBC is going to be attacked. And this becomes the problem where, you have to be a person who is seeking truth so that you can invest properly and so that you can navigate properly going across these waters. Because as I've said time and time again, when they talk about a strong labor market, the labor market being strong has nothing to do with whether or not you, the consumer, whether you as an individual is actually strong, because your dollar has purchasing power. And if you have less purchasing power today, but you have a job, you're still in a problem, right? Because the economy is not robust for you if you go into the grocery store and your groceries cost $100 or $150 more today than they did a year ago. Now, if you actually look at wages and you go back to the 70s and 80s, wages have remained flat for most Americans. And see, this becomes one of the biggest problems because a lot of people don't understand data and understand that your dollar has purchasing power. And what I want to do is come over here and read this report to you, because over here, I love to educate you with data and with information where you can go and research the researcher. I don't like to sit up here and just read the news to you. I don't think that that's beneficial to read the news. I like to go back in time. I like to cover the present things, but then tell you why I have the belief on the future that I do, so that you can understand that I'm simply referencing information, but I'm approaching this with my own views. Follow me here. This right here is from the Pew Research Center, and this is from August 7th, 2018. It says, for most U.S. workers, real wages have barely budged in decades. In the face of it, these should be heady times for American workers. U.S. unemployment is as low as it's been in nearly 2 decades, 3.9% as of July. Remember, this is from 2018. And the nation's private sector employers have been adding jobs for 101 straight months, 19.5 million since the Great Recession-related cuts finally abated in early 2010, and 1.5 million just since the beginning of the year. But despite the strong labor market, wage growth has lagged economists' expectations. In fact, despite some ups and downs over the past several decades, today's real wages, that is the wage after accounting for inflation, has the same purchasing power it did 40 years ago. And what wage gains there have been have mostly flowed to the highest paid tier of workers. So, American paychecks are bigger than 40 years ago, but the purchasing power has hardly budged. I want you to think about that. So when you're getting these increases in minimum wage or in your wages, inflation is rising faster than the actual quote unquote wage growth that you're getting. So think about this. In 1965, when you think about current dollars versus constant dollars is basically pricing it in today's purchasing power. So this is the purchasing power of $1 in 1964, this yellow line here. This green line is the purchasing power as of today. So $2.50 in 1964 could buy you $20 worth of goods and services in today's dollars in value. Look at this now. So you see the current dollars are going up and up and up and up and up, but you can see the constant dollars remains the same. So now that same $2.50 right here that got up to here buys you $22.65 worth of goods. So you could buy more goods in 1964 than you could today with your money. This is one of the biggest problems, where your dollars, they don't have the same purchasing power they did before. So great, the labor market is strong, but your paycheck doesn't reflect that because you can't purchase the same goods and services that you could before. And this goes into the cantillon effect, what I spoke about, how the economy rewards those who sit the closest to the money printer because they get to spend the inflation first. And the closer you are to power, wealth, and influence, you kind of know what's happening, right? Because now you know when certain companies are going to IPO, you can take on more risk, you can take on more debt because you're connected. You're near the money printer, whereas the everyday working American isn't. So you're trying to save, you're trying to do the right thing, you're trying to get by, and you have these clowns in the White House telling you, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. Everything's fine. And then people talk about, well, the dollar is strong. Yeah, the dollar is strong, but inflation is stronger. And if you come here and you look at this actual chart of the US dollar, doesn't look that strong to me. If you actually look at it over a 30-year period, this is a chart of the DXY, the US dollar index. See, these are the games that they are actually, trying to play with you, this ping-ponging back and forth. If inflation's raging out of control, and we know that the 9.1% number or 9.2% number is them massaging the data. So we know that inflation is probably much higher than the 9% that they're telling us. So on one end, they're trying to say that the definition of a recession isn't 2 negative quarters of growth. And then they're saying, well, we're going to redefine it because the labor market is so strong, but inflation is stronger than the labor market. So which one is it? It doesn't make any sense, right? And now, if we actually come here and we look at this, right, 61% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck after the inflation spike. So when they say that we need to look at all of these different, data metrics, one thing about data is data can lie. You can draw a correlation from so many different, data inputs if you wanted to. At the end of the day, if you go and talk to the average person that gets up and works a 9 to 5, they are not better today than they were a year ago. They are not better today than they were 5 years ago or 10 years ago, right? Household debt is at record levels. Inflation is at record levels. Purchasing power is at record lows. And now the average American literally is 30 days away from literally being on the street and bankrupt. And this is why I talk about these things so much, about you getting serious as to what you want your life to look like and how you consume information, because your livelihood, your life depends on it. This isn't a game. This isn't something that you should be taking lightly. These people are literally lying in your face. They couldn't see inflation coming. Then when it finally got here, they said it was transitory. Now that it's out of control, now they got to raise rates and get strong about it. As I said before, they can't do it. I don't care how strong they try to pretend that they're going to fight inflation. Two things are going to happen. Either you're going to have a sovereign debt crisis or a currency crisis, one of the two. But it doesn't end well. All fiat currencies, eventually, they return back to their original value, which is zero, worthless. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to come here and I want you to listen to Paul Krugman. For those of you who do not know, this guy is a Nobel Peace Prize award-winning economist. Ivy League educated. Many of you would say he's smarter than me, right? What do I know? I'm just a guy on YouTube, right? And I want you to hear how dismissive he is, and he's part of the problem. See, this is why I laugh at people when they want to quote their credentials and their certifications and what school they went to. That doesn't mean that you can't be full of shit and be a liar, right? Like, just because someone's, Harvard educated or Yale educated doesn't mean that they're not a part of the agenda, and doesn't mean that they have your best interest at heart, because these are the same people that consistently get it wrong. So let's listen to what he has to say and how out of touch he is with the average American.
Laureate and economist, a distinguished professor at the City University of New York's Graduate Center, and a longtime columnist for the New York Times. Welcome to the program. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Can we dispense with the recession debate real quick? Are we in a recession, and does the term matter?
No, we aren't, and no, it doesn't. I mean,
one sentence. That was it, huh?
Yeah, that was it. It's none of the usual criteria that real experts use says that we're in a recession right now. And what does matter? The state of the economy is what it is. Jobs are abundant, although maybe the job market is weakening. Matter what says that we're in a recession right now. And what does matter? The state of the economy is what it is. Jobs are abundant, although maybe the job market is.
So before I play the rest of it, did you hear what he just said? He said, "What does it matter? What does it matter if you can barely pay your family? What does it matter? What does it matter if you've been saving money and you've been losing purchasing power every single year? What does it matter?" Because see, to him, he's connected. He doesn't care. He doesn't live in the real world that you and I live in. So he doesn't have to deal with real world problems that you and I have to deal with. And see, this becomes one of the problems where you have these quote unquote economists and experts, right? And in reality, they're just experts in getting it wrong. You know, they even in like investing, they have like, you know, the Pelosi tracker where you can actually track Nancy Pelosi's portfolio of the stocks that she's buying, and you'll beat most experts. Or if you actually do the inverse of Jim Cramer, most of these people who proclaim to be experts are really paid shills. And they're sent here to misinform and misdirect you time and time again. And he's just so tone deaf and so out of touch. You know, to fill up my car with gas cost me about $140. Before, it used to cost me about $80. So that's probably like what, a 70-80% increase in price. Now, for me, I can afford it. It doesn't hurt me. But think about a family of 5 or a family of 4. Think about if driving is your job, if you are a trucker, or if you're a cabbie or an Uber driver. How does that eat into your profits? Now start thinking about the impact that has on people who have to buy groceries. Because oil isn't everything that you use. You have to transport your goods and services everywhere. So that then translates into your prices that you have to pay for your food. And to him, he says, oh, what does it matter? Jobs are plentiful. So yeah, you got a job, but you can't afford anything. Right? Just think about how illogical that is. You have a job, but everything around you costs more money. And your wages are not keeping up with inflation. So let's finish listening to what he has to say.
What do you think is driving that? Just
inflation is coming down. Hughes says that we're in a recession right now. And what does matter? The state of the economy is what it is. Jobs are abundant, although maybe the job market is weakening. Inflation is high, though maybe inflation is coming down. What does it matter whether you use the R word or not?
Certainly the White House was trying to encourage reporters to use the technical definition, but certainly many are using a broader definition. So this is going to go on for a while, and I feel like everybody's playing their roles the way you would expect them to play their roles. What should the media's... Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that this is especially vitriolic. I mean, I get, I've been in this business for a couple of decades and get lots of hate mail and see stuff. I've never seen anything as bad as this. The determination of a lot of people to say it's a recession is above and beyond anything I've ever seen.
What do you think is driving that? Just partisanship and polarization getting worse and worse every year, and thus this?
Yeah, it's partisanship. People want it. It's the Biden recession. They want their Biden recession. They're going to have it. Never mind the fact that that.
This is laughable. If we simply just come here and we just look at the data. The negative 1.6%, negative 0.9%. Negative 1.6%, negative 0.9%. I mean, at a certain point, right, we have to understand that, like I said before, we don't have real journalism in this country. We don't have people that are going to be honest. And this is one of the problems with this system. And this goes back to centralization versus decentralization. And I talk about these things all the time. And they're right in your face. They're glaring. They're like this, like in your face. You can't ignore it. Where when you have these heavily centralized systems, people can collude together to make the rules and then break the rules. And when they break the rules, there's no consequence for them breaking the rules because they make the rules. They control the system, which is why we need more open and transparent systems where everyone can kind of understand and know what's going on. Like literally, we're debating about now what constitutes the definition of a man and a woman. Throw out the science, throw out chromosomes, throw out the strength differences, the fact that a woman can carry a child. Throw that out there. Goes to how you feel. Feel like a woman today, then you're a woman. And tomorrow you could feel like you're a man. And you may want to feel like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Who knows, right? Or you may want to be a reptilian, shape-shifted alien. You could do that. Recession? Oh, no. We use a broad set of data, a broad set of, data points. Well, why not use this data point that 61% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck after the inflation spike? I mean, that's all the data you need, because that reflects more than half the populace. Don't you think that would be the best way to calculate the health of the American consumer, the average American, just to see how much money do they actually have left over after their paycheck? And then if they have money left over and they save it, well, what will that money be worth a year from now or 2 years from now? Because we know if we just look at the data, we can see. And now remember, this is back in July of 2018. So if we actually come here and we look at the consumer price index, in 2018, we're talking about a 2.1% inflation rate. We was in the 2s. Now we're in the 9s. So think about it. If the wage growth, right, was flat, measured in inflation, don't you think it's even flatter today? Don't you think it's even worse off today than it was back in 2018 when we had 2% inflation? So, when I sit here and I actually, dissect this information and put this information in front of you, I'm not doing these things to be an alarmist. I'm not talking about the fourth industrial revolution and the Great Reset because I want to scare you. I'm talking about these things and educating you about these things so you can start understanding. Stop listening to the experts. The experts are wrong. And their incentive mechanisms for being right is perverse. It's perverted. They're not incentivized to tell the truth. They're not incentivized to do the right thing. And then right on cue, here we have Wikipedia, centralized entity. Elon Musk blasts Wikipedia after it suspends edits of Recession page. Elon Musk slammed Wikipedia on Friday for losing its objectivity after the online encyclopedia blocked users from editing its Recession page, prompting accusations it was running interference for the Biden administration. Musk, the Tesla CEO and the world's richest man, with an estimated net worth of $263 billion, tagged Wikipedia co-founder Jimmy Wales in a tweet. Wikipedia is losing its objectivity. Wikipedia blocked users from revising its Recession page after visitors to the site engaged in a frantic editing war over the definition of the term, which is being disputed by the Biden administration following the latest economic data showing a drop in GDP. Now, I want you to think about this for a second, right? Because I believe in being fair and being transparent and asking questions. When Trump was talking about fake news and alternative facts, every single liberal media outlet said, oh my God, he's a tyrant. He's trying to be the next Hitler. He's trying to censor journalists. He's actually going out here and trying to silence journalists. And now here we are. Those same journalists are doing the same thing now, where they're redefining terms and just throwing out, well, for decades we used the term for the technical term and definition was 2 negative quarters of growth with GDP. Well, we're not going to do that anymore. And it goes to show you how people will bend depending on their own political affiliation and what benefits them, which is why I always talk to you guys about crypto and why it's so important. Because you need systems where code is law, not where people can get together and collude and on a whim just change things and just lie or stop you from being able to participate in the system. Now, to kind of transition, I've been talking to you about the problem of these devices. How these devices, they track, trace, and monitor everything that you do. And this is very problematic Joe Rogan spoke about TikTok. Now, I did a video maybe almost 2 years ago talking to you about the problem with TikTok and how it's basically going to be used as a Trojan horse for China and Russia, where they can collect so much data about Americans in regards to what makes them tick, their fears, their thoughts. And this is one of the problems with centralized technology companies or applications. So I want you to read this. It says, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is required to share data at the request of Chinese government, according to news reports. After going down a TikTok rabbit hole, Joe Rogan called out the app on his podcast. Joe Rogan slammed TikTok on his podcast after taking issue with the video sharing app's privacy policy and terms of service on Tuesday. On the latest episode of his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan listed what he found in the terms of service after he went down a TikTok rabbit hole. It said, "We collect certain information about the device you use to access the platform, such as your IP address, user region." This is really, really crazy, Rogan said during the episode. User agent, mobile carrier, time zone settings, identifiers for advertising purposes, model of your device, the device system, the network type, device IDs, your screen resolution, and operating system, app and file names and types, he added, reading from the terms and services. He went on to allege that TikTok even had access to users' keystrokes, so they are monitoring your keystrokes, which means they know every fucking thing you type. Why am I talking about this? Because again, I've been warning you about this great reset, about this digital world that we're going into, about the fourth industrial revolution. We're not going to get less digital. We're going to get more digital. So what does this have to do with the Biden administration? When you allow people to collect so much data and information about you, they know more about you than you know about yourself. And this is how they can push and promote propaganda. And now you have to think about it. You may be an adult and you may be able to see through the BS, but you have children who are not fully developed, who may not be able to see the problems or the lies. So you'll have people out here that will start debating you on the topic of as to what is gender identity? What does it mean to be a man? It's a social construct. What is a recession? It's a social construct. And when you start going down these rabbit holes where anything can be changed at any time and anything can be questioned and anything can be debated, then you don't live in a physical world that has real world consequences. You live in a world that at the end of the day, the elites, the powers that be, whatever they want the agenda and narrative to be is what it will be. So it's very important that you start understanding why you need decentralization. Why does this technology, why does crypto even exist in the first place? Why would someone want to take power from technology companies and media companies and central banks and banks? Because time and time again, they've proven themselves to be disingenuous. They've proven themselves to be liars. They've proven themselves to be tyrants. And when you give people power, absolutely, it absolutely corrupts them. So you have to start understanding these things. We're literally sitting here listening to a woman, Carrie Ann, tell you that 2 negative quarters of growth isn't a recession. When if you actually come here, and I love the fact that I bookmarked it, and you actually listen to this right here.
Well, a recession is 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. I don't think we're going to have that. But we couldn't keep up 5% growth a year.
Mr. President, what do you think about a recession?
Well, a recession is 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. I don't think we're going to have that. But we couldn't keep up 5% growth a year, forever. So I think 49 of the 50 blue chip forecasters think that growth will be 2.5% or better next year. We'll keep underperforming low.
Again, in 2000, that was a sufficient definition. 2 negative quarters of growth. Let's listen to Nancy Pelosi.
And so while they may have saved the second quarter from a technical definition of recession, the fact is we are now into the third quarter, and we need to have another stimulus package. And so while they may have saved the second quarter from a technical definition of recession, the fact is we are now into the third quarter.
So in 2008, she was talking about how they saved them from going into 2 negative quarters, which would be a technical recession. But then now it's no longer the definition of a recession. We use a broad set of indicators. Lies, manipulation on top of manipulation. And I've been talking to you guys about this for a very, very, very long time. And I like what Coffee Flavored Crypto just stated. First, he said that, I said this before, economic models and environmental models are difficult to predict. However, social models are nearly perfected by these tech giants. Absolutely. Because again, once you understand, this phone has an accelerometer in it, right? So it can look at the orientation in which you're holding the device, how you hold the device, how fast you walk while holding the device, the way that you talk when you're using these devices. And therefore, it can start to predict, based upon statistical analysis that they have, whether or not, you're more prone to certain types of, information, manipulation, data points, etc. This is why it's important for you to be very, very aware and consume media and information in a way where you're constantly looking for objectivity. You're not looking for one-sided information, not to live in echo chambers where, because you don't like conservatives, or if you don't like liberals, you're not willing to listen to the information they're presenting, because in most cases, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And it's very, very important and key that you understand this. Now, here's the funny thing, because I love how people come on here and they troll me and they say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a YouTuber. You're not Paul Krugman, right? You're not Nouriel Roubini. You're not any of these major economists, right? And I sit here and I'm going to pull this up, because if you actually come to my page right here and you actually scroll down here, I told you over 3 months ago, a recession is coming. Right here, 3 months ago, I told you a recession was coming. So I may be a coon, I may be an agent, I may be a self-hating black man and all those things that you say, but I'm not always right, but I'll say about 75% of the time I'm pretty much on the board. I'm pretty much hitting that bullseye in most cases. Now, the Fed is going to continue to, quote unquote, fight inflation, but they're going to fight inflation by trying to destroy demand. I told you, Larry Summers said that we need over 7% unemployment for over 2 years or 3 years in order to get inflation in check. They're trying to destroy demand, meaning destroy your consumption. The whole idea of the Great Reset is to control people movement. And the whole idea of climate change policy is to control human movement and reduce your standard of living. These are not things that I'm making up to scare you. I'm not sitting here, trying to be an alarmist. These are things that are happening right now in your face. You can no longer sit back and pretend that these things do not exist. They're here, they're in your face. And these people will continue to keep lying to you and stringing you along. So now I'm going to go to the chat and I'm going to take some questions. I see, just seeing a donation come through. Untamed B says it's going to get weirder and weirder. Absolutely, as we continue to go forward. I see another donation earlier from ETC Ready to Work. How do I get my assets off of Coinbase to put them on my Nano X? You need to come and either look on YouTube. There is some tutorials on YouTube, or you can come and join My Tech Academy. We have a free 3-day trial. I have an entire course breaking down and explaining to you how to properly, move your assets and shift your assets over to your Ledger Nano X. So definitely come get that education if that's what you need. There's a ton of resources and more resources we can share with you. Because again, as I told you guys before, where there is smoke, there is fire. And I always believed that Coinbase was a Trojan horse. Most people are very comfortable with leaving their crypto on centralized exchanges, which will be a honeypot for regulators to be able to come in and now have your data. Again, data is important, because even if you try to act like you don't have crypto, the fact that you had to, go through KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer, in order for you to get your crypto. I know at one point in time you've owned crypto, right? And that becomes one of the biggest problems with using centralized exchanges is that they collect your data, right? And then Coinbase goes out and sells that data to governments and governmental agencies. So it's a way of them being able to know for a fact that if I need to confiscate it, I can just go and seize Coinbase. Or the fact that I know at some point you've owned crypto. So this is important. Do you think BTC will hit 10K? Absolutely not. I do not see that happening. But in an extreme case, if something happens throughout the world, then yeah, that can definitely happen. I don't see something extreme like that happening. I think that we're probably going to touch about 15, maybe 13K. Because remember, as I told you guys before, what you need to start to see is bankruptcies start to happen. That's when you know that you're close to a bottom. So we got a lot of the flushing out with Voyager, Celsius, Babel Finance, 3AC Capital. Now it's time for real estate to go through that cleaning effect. There's a lot of leverage and over leveraged players in real estate. So real estate needs to go and finally take that next leg down. And then I believe the stock market needs to go a little bit lower. I believe that right now what we're experiencing with crypto is just a relief rally, or some short covering, but I still think that we go a little bit lower. Go for the next 2 months. Like I said before, heading into like that October, November, going into the midterm elections, that's when things will magically start to get better so that the Democrats can get reelected. And then we'll kind of move sideways going into Q1 of 2023. And by going into the spring, summertime, we start to see a rebound because that's when the market's going to realize, or the Fed's going to realize, that they have to start cutting rates or stop cutting rates as much because they're basically making it very, very hard for the government to raise tax revenue. What's good, fam? I've been going crazy in the bear MEV and big boy LP pools. Hope everything is good. Everything's good over here. When he's talking about minor extracted value, where basically you can do like sandwich attacks, where you can basically jump the queue, sort of like what high frequency traders do, where you can raise the fee to get someone to pay a higher fee and then sell it back to them and make the spread. So a lot of people are doing that. There's some really, really profitable bots if you know how to run them and build them correctly. So there's definitely a lot of value there. Even in the liquidity pools, there's definitely some good value. Again, I have a course teaching you guys how to do that inside of DeFi in regards to liquidity mining. I even put up a video on my channel walking through Beefy Finance, which is a yield optimizer. That was a video over here I put up 13 days ago for free that you don't have to pay for. So definitely there's some opportunity in crypto in regards to yield farming if you know what you're doing, or even the whole MEV bots. There's a lot of ways that you can make money in crypto, flash loans as well. And I definitely plan on getting into that type of stuff because, again, we're in our coding bootcamp. We've built 3 projects so far. My goal is to build about 5 to 7 basic projects with HTML, CSS, and then we get to JavaScript. And that's when we can really start creating some really, really robust and dynamic pages. And congratulations to all you guys in the Slack group. I love to see the fact that you guys are getting in there and you're attending the coding classes and sessions that we're putting together and you're building things, because at the end of the day, having tech skills is going to be extremely important in regards to being mobile. Being able to earn money in a mobile way is going to be extremely powerful and important. So, and again, we have Bruce, who's handling the finance side of the academy. I have some guys in IT, information technology, and DevOps that's going to be teaching and creating courses, giving you as many different looks possible to figure out what's your niche. What I need you to be able to do is just to be naturally fucking curious. If you are naturally curious, you will stumble upon what's meant for you. And there's a ton of free sources out here, resources that I share with you guys as well. But the difference between free and paid is that when you have questions, when you need support, you need to be a part of a community. It's very hard to watch someone's YouTube video and then you have a question and you post the question in the comment section and you don't hear from them for 2 weeks. The whole purpose of being in groups is that you get to grow together and learn together. And I plan on even doing study sessions. We're linking you guys up once we start building up bigger projects, putting you guys in groups of 4 or 5 so that therefore it can kind of make it like, working on a real project with a real team. Do I have any thoughts on Peter Zehane? I don't know who Peter Zehane is. I can definitely look into who the individual is in the future, but I have no idea who Peter Zehane is. I have absolutely no idea. Maybe I've come across him before, but I don't know the name off the top of my head. I would be lying to you if I said I did. Jenka J says, hi, Eli, I love your content and your insights. Thank you. Appreciate it. I love the support. I love the fact that the channel is growing. I'm definitely going to be creating a hell of a lot more content here. The Instagram algorithm just isn't a good algorithm. Also, many of the followers on Instagram, they tend to not be interested in long form content. They're more interested in short content. And me, the information and things that I teach requires long form content, right? So I've been over on Instagram now for probably about 4 or 5 months, and it's just not something that I really want to be a part of. Jamal Oliver says he can't hear me. My audio seems to be working just fine, and I'm looking over here. It's working just fine over here. So you guys are saying I'm lagging. I'm looking, and it's definitely showing that I have audio. So I don't understand what's going there. Audio is good. Exactly. I can see it. Have you looked into Constellation DAG yet? No, but someone on Twitter keeps sending me information about Constellation DAG. I don't really have the time to look into it, to be honest with you. I just really don't. I would love for you guys, like I said, make it easy for me, send me some information and I can look into it. But I kind of, at this point, I told you my crypto philosophy is very different. I'm not looking to invest in a lot of projects that have, quote unquote potential. I'm looking at this point, you need to have a strong developer base, a strong ecosystem, a strong foundation, a strong treasury, and you need to have real world product market fit. If you don't have real world utility and product market fit, I'm not really interested in investing with you. And I'm not talking about the garbage Ripple partnerships. I'm talking about real partnerships, real utility, real projects, real ecosystems. Let's see, testing. Let's see, testing. Yeah, audio seems fine for me. But that's just the powers that be that's probably attacking me. Also too, I'm really pulling a lot of data with these nodes. Like I'm running a lot of fucking nodes. So that could be another reason too. But as I was saying earlier, I'm basically looking for projects that have real world utility and real world use cases. So, which is why I'm a huge bull on Chainlink, and Chainlink is my largest position. XRP to the moon. Congratulations, man. If that's what you want, congratulations. I hope XRP takes you to the moon. Thanks for the donation too, brother Asuni. See. Yeah, enlighten chops. You know the funny thing? I have like multiple IP addresses and devices, and I can reroute traffic and stuff like that if I needed to in different accounts. It's just I've been so busy working on the different investment opportunities, my students, coding, that I haven't had a chance to really tend to my network. But I'm definitely going to do that because I'll be in Miami on Wednesday, and I'm probably going to be in Miami for about a week to a week and a half. So we'll go from there. Hector Ramirez had a question. Eli, if a majority of people are long on Bitcoin, where is all the liquidity coming from? I'm specifically referring to past years when BTC was blowing up and everyone was long. Well, when you say everyone is long, everyone included everyone in regards to what? Because when you look at Bitcoin, what is the current market cap of Bitcoin? Like, if you go here, let's look at it. Like, what Bitcoin right now is $400 billion. I mean, it's a baby. Like in regards to being a global asset, it's tiny. That's not nothing big. Gold has a 10-12 trillion dollar market cap. So in regards to like the form of like liquidity, like the liquidity is coming from people who are allocating small positions and small parts of their portfolio. Right. So that's institutional investors, people like you and I. But Bitcoin hasn't seen the type of adoption that it really will get as we go further and further, as more and more countries and institutions actually adopt it. Now, I also do believe that Tether manipulates the market. I do believe that Tether is definitely manipulating the market in regards to the price up and down. I'm staking and I have it locked up, but I might put on a trade. Swing trade. Yeah, this is a market where it'll be good to, if you want to do swing trading, it'll be really good. But I'm not getting like aggressively long and like any and everything. There are some coins like, for example, Gala Games or like DYDX. That's just, I mean, they're sub 100 million, sub $200 million. It's like, why not put some money into it, right? Like at these levels, how much lower can they really go? They're really solid projects, or getting Link at like $5 and $6 and $7, stuff like that. But for the most part, not really deploying a lot of capital for like my node projects and things like that. So can a node be run from your desktop? I mean, you can SSH and connect to a server from your actual computer if that's what you wanted to do, but you would have to be able to connect to a server somewhere. In regards to like, you running a node from your personal computer, it all depends on the size of the blockchain. But if you're dealing with like Ethereum, you can't run a node. You can't run a full Ethereum a validator node from your computer. No, it's too much data. Because it took me over about a week to download the entire Ethereum blockchain in regards to like actually syncing up the node and being able to run the validator node. So no, there's absolutely no way that you are going to be able to like, run a Ethereum node from a personal computer. It's just, you're not going to have enough, hardware to be able to do it. Eli made a Python app that algorithmically trades short call verticals on the indices via the Interactive Brokers API. Congratulations, but I mean, my investments are doing well enough for me that I'm not really looking to, diversify right now. I'm looking to scale up what I'm doing with my DeFi investment opportunities and my node projects, bringing more nodes online, buying more infrastructure is what I'm focusing on doing right now. I'm not really focusing on trying to, like one thing I've learned is diversification's okay once you kind of get yourself fully established, if that's what you want to do. But me, I'm the type of person, like once I've perfected something, it's now just a matter of scaling it up. And that's what I've been focusing on, the business that pays me. So, but we're coming up on an hour. I want to keep these streams, within an hour time frame. So please do me a favor, like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure you set notifications to all. a link to join my text message list, and the telephone number is below. So you can definitely text the actual number, text the word YouTube below, and you'll be on my text message list so that when I go live, I'll be able to notify you via text message. You can also follow me on Instagram. A link to my Instagram is in the description below. Also, I am the founder and creator of MyTech Academy, where we cover all things Web 3.0, how to buy crypto, sell crypto, store crypto properly, build a portfolio, NFTs, DeFi, you name it. You also can book consultations now. I've opened up that product and service again. The consultations will be conducted by myself and my business partner, Bruce. Also, I have 2 investment opportunities, a DeFi investment opportunity if you're interested, and a node investment opportunity where you can earn passive income. If this is something you are interested in, you need to follow me on Instagram, and you need to make sure that you actually send me the word invest, and I'm going to send you 2 videos breaking down the investment opportunities. Please beware of people who are impersonating me and trying to scam you. I would never DM you first. I would never, ask you to send money through Cash App or through PayPal. You and I will hop on a Zoom call before we do any business. You will see me face to face. So with that being said, guys, have a blessed and beautiful night. And again, be safe out here, because these politicians and the people, regulators, and all these individuals are lying to you. A recession is 2 negative quarters of growth. We're in a recession. When you look at the fact that inflation is outpacing wage growth, that's a problem. The American consumer and individual isn't doing well. So with that being said, guys, have a blessed and beautiful evening.